love this really silly intro that we're doing.
I love it. Hello and welcome to Maybe We're Projecting, Omaha's movie talk show. I'm Genevieve Radosti.
And I'm Joshua LeBior. And we're here to talk about movies because it's a movie talk show.
Yes, we are. And summertime means summertime sales. And you and I both collect physical media. We collect Blu-rays, 4Ks, all of it. I think Patrick White, who's not here with us today, as well as Tom Knobloch, Patrick White collects VHS tapes right now, so that's really fun.
It's nice to connect over this because for me, like, physical media is like, well, it's kind of our way in of connecting. Mm-hmm. And also just like, it's always been important to me. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, like, I worked at Blockbuster when I was younger, and I loved buying all the used DVDs that we'd get in, and I liked having a collection.
Yeah.
Of the movies I loved.
I think for me it was like a librarian fantasy, because when I was a kid I would have like a stack of books and I'd be like pretending that I was recommending books to people.
Yeah.
And so I think I hear this a lot, people who become filmic storytellers start as book lovers, and for me I started as a book collector and now I'm a movie collector.
That makes sense. And I think that I kind of started with music, I would say.
Yeah.
So I kind of started with CDs and cassettes and buying all the tapes and, CDs that I loved. And I think when I moved on to movies, one of the things too is like, when I first started getting into cinema, a lot of the movies that I really loved, just, you couldn't go to Blockbuster and rent. And I grew up in the suburbs of Denver, and you couldn't just go to Blockbuster and find these movies. Mm-hmm. And even our like local library didn't have a huge selection. Mm-hmm. They had a good selection, but in Castle Rock, Colorado, it wasn't huge.
It's not the Omaha Public Library in 2025.
Well, and it wasn't like until I moved to Denver where I started like discovering the Criterion collection at the library. Mm-hmm. But I kind of like, I started shopping online specifically because like I started getting into all these mumblecore movies, and I was reading about Joe Swanberg and Andrew Pajolsky and the Duplass brothers and all this stuff. I was reading about these filmmakers, and I don't even know how I came across them. But when I discovered them, like, you couldn't find these movies anywhere, and there was really no streaming or anything. So, or it wasn't. It was pretty primitive at the time.
It was like Netflix had streaming, but it was like the bottom of the barrel Tubi level stuff, where it was like, I don't really want to watch that.
Yeah. So between like to find the movies before I moved into the city, it was Netflix had a good selection, so you could find weird stuff on there. I remember like checking out The Puffy Chair there.
Okay.
And Brown Bunny and whatever else. Just like all these crazy movies, And when kind of Amazon came around, I was like, oh, maybe I'll just start buying these movies, because then I could like let people borrow them or whatnot, because I was like so excited about them at the time. So I would always have my movies out being borrowed by people.
I think that's something people forget a lot, that for people who were in rural communities, online shopping meant access to things that we didn't have locally. So, there's evils to be discussed, but online shopping does help with access.
Yeah. And I remember just like looking at the library and finding, I think Wild Strawberries. And I saw the Criterion Collection logo. And then, so I started going to the library, and anything that said Criterion Collection, I just started grabbing.
That's perfect.
And so that's how I discovered so many different filmmakers.
And that's something to be said about physical media. I think sometimes it's seen as kind of like this lofty thing, like you have spending money, how nice, But if you go, since this is an Omaha TV show, if you go to the Omaha Public Library, they have an amazing selection of film. Yeah. If it's at a different library, they'll bring it to the one closer to you. Yep. If they don't have it, you can request that they carry it. Yep. So I
think they'll have almost anything we talk about today.
Yeah.
They have Radiance films, like, so there's all these like boutique labels, as you know.
Yeah.
But then we're going to talk about them today. But Radiance films, Criterion's kind of the old school. Like, they started with Laserdisc,
They were the blueprint.
They said they I think invented putting widescreen films on VHS tapes.
Right.
And so they've been doing it for a long time. But since then, you have Kino Lorber, you have Severin, so many different labels now.
Amazing.
But and the library carries a lot of them.
Yes, they do. Some of these films, that's how I saw them, was through the library.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about, now it's sale season.
Yes.
You want to build up your collection. you want to buy some movies, where should people start?
So you know what? There's a sale coming up the 25th and through the 29th of July, which is the Severin film sale. And Severin, their bread and butter is really box sets. And so those can be really intimidating. I know sometimes I'll buy a box set and it'll just sit pretty on a shelf for a while. So I picked some individual titles that I think are, to me, must-owns and really show you the range of Severin and kind of what their vibe is. So I'm going to start with Threads, which is a...
I haven't heard of this one.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I watched this in 2020 while pregnant. Huge mistake. It is about a nuclear attack on Great Britain, and how no one is ready. And everyone is very much failed by their government. There's all these very important men in a bunker with binders full of what they should be doing in this situation. There's so much confusion. And that's just the first half of the movie. The second half of the movie is the aftermath of a nuclear bomb. And it's very, I don't know if I can say that on TV, but of a nuclear attack. And it's very realistic to the point where it made me feel sick. So I recommend it. I think it's wonderful. And it was on public television in 1984.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's very interesting.
You know what? I have heard of this film.
Yeah.
Now that you're talking about it, I just didn't realize that Severin...
They put it out.
Because somebody told me I should watch that, and they were like, it's horrifying.
It's really scary. This is a genuine horror film. And
it
BBC,
just all clicked when you said that part at the end about it being on public television.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I have definitely heard about this.
BBC loves to terrorize their viewers with this, Ghost Watch.
I love Ghost Watch, yeah.
They would show ghost stories on like Christmas Eve.
Yeah, I love those too.
And so there's a lot of kids in like England who are like, oh yeah. Spooky on public TV. So Threads, I recommend that from the Severin sale. And this one, Blood for Dracula. It says Andy Warhol's, but it was directed by Paul Morrissey, who recently passed, rest in peace. And it stars Udo Kier as Dracula with his German accent, and he needs the blood of marriageable virgins. And it's a blast. I watched this on a VHS tape with my friend in LA, Chris. Shout out, Chris. And we didn't know what we were getting into. We thought we were watching a Dracula movie, but this is it's pretty explicit. So this is not a film to watch with your parents, but it's just amazing how can go from watching a VHS tape of this to a 4K from Severin. So thank you, Severin, for that.
Yeah, Paul Morrissey films are interesting. I love them.
They are interesting.
And Udo Kier, my introduction to Udo Kier was, I was obsessed with, I still am. My Own Private Idaho. It's just like one of my all-time favorite movies. Mm-hmm. And he has a really fun role in that movie.
He has an interesting career. My introduction was Blood for Dracula.
Interesting.
So he's very pretty. He's very pretty in it. And then this one is Super Vixens by Russ Meyer. And this is kind of, I think, an amalgamation of everything that makes Russ Meyer. It is cartoony, it is very explicit, but it's also very violent in a way that I wasn't expecting. This was the fourth movie of his that I had seen. And this has a villain in it played by Charles Napier, who I think is in the Blues Brothers.
Oh, yeah.
And he plays a psychotic villain in this who is nasty and scary, and he's in a Wile E. Coyote role. So it's kind of this clash of culture.
Yeah.
And I almost think it's almost a proto-slasher in some ways because his character is just so scary. But this is 1975, Super Vixens.
And Russ Meyer's, I was never really familiar with him.
Yeah.
I think most famously he did Beyond the Valley of the Shadow of the Dolls, written by Roger Ebert. So that was my introduction to Russ Meyer, even though I didn't actually know I was being introduced to Russ Meyer. I was just watching the Roger Ebert written film.
That is also one of my favorite movies. Such a blast. And that's on the Criterion Collection, which is also currently having sale at Barnes & Noble. They do every July for 50% off. So that is the time to buy.
This is true. And we'll get to Criterion.
Okay.
First, right now, at the same time, there's a sale with Radiance Films. They're kind of a newer label. And I've kind of fallen in love with them just because they're kind of releasing a lot of films from directors that have films on Criterion Collection and stuff, but they're releasing different films. But I've also gone into every single film that I've gotten from Radiance, with the exception of two, which are both Todd Solondz films. Welcome to the Dollhouse,
Mm-hmm.
which I did not bring because it's sold out everywhere.
Right.
So I didn't want to like highlight it. Although you can get a UK version, but that's not going to be part of the sale. So I only brought like the American non-imports. These are American releases.
Very considerate of you.
But I did start with one that is sold out currently, but I think it will be restocked at Barnes & Noble. But it's called The Sting of Death. And it is directed by Kohei Aguri. And honestly, this film, it kind of reminds me of like Japanese. I mean, it is a Japanese film, but it reminds me of like a drama that kind of has that Zen feeling to it, of like an Ozu film or Mizoguchi or Mikio Naruse, but it has this like, but it came out in the 90s, and it has this just bite to it. It's it gets really surreal and just dramatic and almost like an emotional horror film. Like it's not really a horror film like in the sense that there's like ghosty things happening, but just people get so deep into their sadness and they're so mean to each other, this couple, as their marriage is falling apart. It becomes kind of horrifying.
Wow, that sounds good.
And I showed my friend, and he was like, I was not expecting that. That was like devastating. And it's one of those films I never heard of it. I never heard of this director. I never heard of this film. And I thought that the cover looked interesting, and I read about it, and I love Japanese films generally, and especially the dramas. So I just bought it. It was a blind buy.
Awesome.
And it blew me away, and it's become just kind of one of my favorite films.
That's so cool. That's one thing I really like about Radiance, is I feel like they are taking international pictures that you're not really going to hear about in the United States and giving them such a spotlight.
Yeah, and then the other one I brought, Misunderstood. So it's Luigi Comencini, and this is a film that I also had never heard of. It was a blind buy, but I kept reading about it, and it sounded like something I'd be interested in, so I just grabbed it. And it's about this father, but it's from the perspective of these two kids, they're brothers, and their father is not telling them that their mother's dead. And their mother died of a sickness before the film started, essentially.
Yeah.
So we kind of come in, the mother's already dead. The father isn't sure how to tell them, so he just hasn't. He keeps telling them that they're gone. But they're missing their mother, and they're acting out, and they're like terrorizing their nannies. And the older brother like is really like trying to hold things together for his younger brother. But then he's also like acting out really, horribly to these nannies and stuff. And he's just going through so much emotional stuff. And I don't know, it's just this film that like just took me by surprise, and it was really sad.
Who do you think in that situation is the misunderstood one? Because geez Louise.
I think if you watch the film, you kind of get it. So.
Okay, I'll have to check it out, because And
then finally, this is a film that I think in my review, so it's one of our most liked posts and restacked posts so far about our summer sales. And so the Radiant sale, this is one of the ones that was not a blind buy for me. I saw this when I worked at Blockbuster back when it came out in 2004. I was working at Blockbuster, and I was aware of Welcome to the Dollhouse, and I hadn't seen it yet. So this is actually the first Todd Solondz film I saw. And I checked it out, because I thought it was interesting, because it follows this 14-year-old girl as she kind of goes through, she runs away from home. And it's a horrifying film. I mean, just in the review is what I was getting at. In the review I was getting at, this is a film that I don't know that I recommend to people.
Right.
To just go in. But I did. And if you know Todd Solondz films, he deals a lot with very sensitive subject matter. A lot of...
And brilliantly.
Yeah. It's just very dark. It's the darkest of dark comedies. And
it's like that.
So I can't, if you're queasy about stuff or if you're a good human, just don't watch it.
I feel like most of our suggestions are like that quote from The Shrouds, where it's like, well, how dark are you willing to go?
Yeah, totally. And and it's not for horror and stuff like that. It's for stuff that we don't really
the human
deal
condition.
with. So it's about this 14-year-old girl. She goes basically on this adventure, and it's played by many different people of many different races. This one character of many different ages. So it's really a film about like identity and this girl kind of like discovering who she is by running away, but also finding like the horrors of America through like just these horrible men and like these religious extreme communities, and just like it's hard to describe without like giving stuff away, but it's kind of just one of those films. Go in cautiously, but if it kind of clicks and you understand what Todd Solondz is doing, it's films you can't forget because he's talking about things in a way that are just with so much like humanity and heart, but about the worst people imaginable.
Yeah,
so
that's a good way of putting it.
Obviously it's July. It's for people that collect physical media. It's a kind of an event time of year. It's like July and November. Barnes & Noble does 50% off all Criterion films. I've been doing it for over a decade now, starting with like going and buying DVDs there, now all the way on to buying 4Ks. Although I only have one 4K in my stack today. So I kind of, each time a sale comes around, I just like have such a big list. I just kind of whatever I'm feeling that time around. So I brought a couple that I have bought on this sale, but also ones that I've had for a while.
Wonderful.
Just to kind of give people like an idea, and I tried not to bring any of the ones that I have already posted about, except for
and
that's because it's brand new, so it's a good time to post. So I kind of want to start off with my first choice is Good Morning by Yoshijiro Ozu. One of my favorite films of the last couple of years was Wim Wenders' Perfect Days. And Perfect Days is like very inspired by Ozu. Ozu is one of my favorite filmmakers. And Good Morning is just probably the one I tell people to start with, just because like it's a drama and it's kind of slow paced like an Ozu film. It has gorgeous cinematography like an Ozu film. He's known for these very still shots. But also it's funny and there's a lot of fart jokes. So it's kind of like a nice like introduction to Ozu and like how a lot of his films are known for being very serious, but this one's like pretty playful, which I like.
Eases you in.
It does.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, so my train of thought with the Criterions this year for the sale was All Blind Pies. I'm giving myself an education, which is Sorcerer, William Friedkin.
Good.
I'm so excited. I really want to do the double feature, which they did do at Film Streams. I'm sad I didn't see it. Of Wages of Fear.
Went to Sorcerer.
Sorcerer.
I wanted to go see Wages of Fear as well, but
Right.
I ended up only.
If you have to choose, there you go. But yeah, it's a reimagining of Clouseau's Wages of Fear, which is an epic story. And I believe this one is too. Yeah, it's 2 hours, so it's not quite as long as Wages of Fear. But this is 1977. It's post-Exorcist. And I'm not sure, was this slept on when it first came out?
I think it was a huge bomb.
It was a bomb.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
Because he came onto it after Exorcist and kind of had the room to do whatever he wanted, you know?
And he's like, I'm going to make this giant adventure thriller.
Yeah.
And that's so exciting. It stars Roy Scheider, who I love, and All That Jazz, which is also on the Criterion Collection. So that's another one that I recommend.
And Jaws.
And Jaws. We have to talk about Jaws during the summer.
It's the 50th anniversary.
Oh my gosh. Wait, I like Jaws.
That's how I feel.
Is it?
I like Jaws.
It's fine.
I mean, I think...
Anyway.
Sorcerer.
And this is 4K. They also have Blu-ray if you don't have 4K. But I sought this out. This was actually the last copy in Omaha, so I'm sorry.
If you have a 4K player, it's worth doing it.
I've heard it's a great upgrade from the DVD.
Speaking of 4K, the one 4K I brought is Drugstore Cowboy.
Hey.
You mentioned Udo Kier and Gus Van Sant. I brought up Gus Van Sant's My Own Private Idaho because Udo Kier's in it.
Right.
But I love Gus Van Sant, and I'm not usually a huge fan of drug movies.
Right.
They're not usually like what I'm attracted to. But Gus Van Sant does this one in such a beautiful way because he brings his weirdness to it. I mean, definitely like, William S. Burroughs is like in the film. And so it's like very inspired by that kind of world. And Matt Dillon plays this, guy who runs this crew where they go around stealing drugs from pharmacies and hospitals and stuff like that. And, as the film goes on, they kind of struggle with addiction and that lifestyle, and it leads to some tragedies. But there's a young Heather Graham in this film. There's James LeGros in this film. And it stars Matt Dillon in just this amazing role. And it has Gus Van Sant's signature kind of grittiness with the kind of surrealism and the playfulness. And I actually didn't love this movie the first time I saw it. Because I just wanted everything to be My Own Private Idaho.
Right.
And it's a little bit different. It definitely has Gus Van Sant's kind of early signatures, but he's had such a varied career. Because he's had all these stages from these first few films on making these weird indie films that kind of mix surrealism and gritty realism to his very minimalist period with like Elephant and Jerry and those films to his like Hollywood hits like Finding Forrester and Good Will Hunting and everything else in between.
He's kind of done everything.
Yeah. I just love this movie.
Wow.
And the 4K looks beautiful.
Good.
And I got a chance to watch it and I love this film now. So
well, I'll have to check it out. Jeez Louise, that sounds amazing. And I love Matt Dillon, who is in another summer movie that I know you love. I love it too, Little Darlings.
I love Little Darlings.
So I'm a huge Matt Dillon fan, so I'll check it out for sure.
Yeah.
I picked Prince of Broadway, a film by Sean Baker. This came out the same time as Anora, which just won the Best Picture Oscar.
Yeah.
And this was kind of...
The Blu-rays came out at the same time.
Blu-rays, yes.
Not the films.
No, not the films. No, this is from 2008. So this was before I would say it was almost a breakout, was Tangerine, which really got eyes on him because he made it with an iPhone. It was on Netflix. It was very accessible.
Yeah.
So this is before
Produced by
that.
the Class Brothers.
Right, yeah. So this was before that, and I don't think it was too easily accessible before this Blu-ray. So I was really excited. I know the girl from the Florida Project, I think they asked her, like, what was your favorite Sean Baker movie? And she said, The Prince of Broadway. And I was like, I want to see The Prince of Broadway. How's this 8-year-old seeing Prince of Broadway before me? So I'm really excited to have this. It is director approved. It's a 4K digital restoration, even though it is just Blu-ray. 5.1 surround sound. So I'm excited to check this out. If you ask me what it's about a guy selling bootlegs. That's all I know. Fake stuff.
That's all you need to know.
That's all you need to know.
I feel like Sean Baker films, the stories aren't even that.
It's the characters that are interesting.
Just spending time with the people. So speaking of kind of Gus Van Sant, my introduction to Harvey Milk was his film Milk that he did with Sean Penn, who played Harvey Milk. And after I saw that film, I went and saw this documentary.
Yeah.
The Times of Harvey Milk. And it won the Academy Award that it came out, and it's just one of the all-time great documentaries about such an incredible activist in the queer community in San Francisco. And there was a Navy ship named after him recently, so he's been in the news, but they've changed it because Pete Hegseth is, let's just say, a homophobe piece of crap. I'll just say it. And they were like, well, we don't want activist names on the ship. But, Harvey Milk was in the Navy for 4 years. And he was an elected official in San Francisco. And he was assassinated. There was a political assassination in San Francisco that took his life. But he did a lot for the gay community at the time. And has been an icon ever since. And this is just one of the important documentaries. And it's not only important because of the subject matter, but it's also just a really well-made film.
Right.
And it's one that everybody, I think, should see.
Oh, I love that. Let's see. I have another rediscovered, kind of in the vein of Naked Acts, and this was a 90s do-it-yourself movie made by the Black community. I've heard that it's a mystery. I should say what it's called. It is Dry Long Sew from 1998. It is directed by Colleen Smith, and Criterion kind of brought it back again from the edges of public consciousness. And so I'm excited about what physical media can do for movies like this, where people either forgot about them or never even heard of them.
Yeah.
And bringing them and giving them kind of the rock star treatment, you know? And so that's just really exciting for me, especially with marginalized voices, women's voices, Black voices, having them pulled from the sideline into the film canon. So I wanted to support that, so I got Dry Long. So,
All right, my last one is a box set.
Yay!
But it's a small box set, so it's an accessible one. But it's Eric Rohmer, The Tale of Four Seasons. So we're talking about summer films, so you could watch A Tale of Summer. But it also has A Tale of Springtime, A Tale of Winter, and A Tale of Autumn. All the films are great. Different levels of great, but all still great, in my opinion. I especially like Tale of Summer, and I especially love A Tale of Autumn. But, Eric Rohmer, these films range from 1990 to 1998. He kind of has these periods where he'll make, like, a chunk of films. Like, these are the comedies and proverbs, these are the 6 moral tales, and he kind of has these eras. So this is the 4 seasons.
Very cool. Now, would you suggest binge watching that or saving one for each season?
I mean, you probably should save each for one season just for fun, but
you
I
binge watched, yeah.
Because I had seen every Eric Rohmer film, but these were not available in the U.S. for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
You had to buy imports. There were some import box sets, but they were fairly expensive. I had seen the 6 Moral Tales because Criterion has had that box set for a very long time, and I checked all those out at the library and then ended up buying it myself. And then there was a handful of just like single release Blu-rays of Eric Rohmer films, and those were the only ones I had seen until this box set came out. Then I finally got to see these 4.
Very cool.
So this is the first time they've been released on Blu-ray in the U.S. I don't even think they ever got a DVD.
Wow.
They might have, but I don't think they did. So
straight from VHS to Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I used to not have a lot of money for box sets, so anytime like a smaller one would come out with like 3 films or 4 films, I'd be like, sweet, okay, now
Perfect.
they end up coming out to being like $10 a movie or something like that. So
and
with the 50% off sale,
It used to be that Criterion seemed really, it still is expensive for $40 for a movie, but now new releases are $40, $50 for a movie. So it doesn't
and some
seem
of the
that...
imports can be like $60 for a movie.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, I can't pay $60 for one movie.
Well, yeah.
So being able to pay like, $40 or $35, I forget exactly.
For 4 movies.
To get 4 films for the first time on Blu-ray in the US is great. And from an iconic French filmmaker. So
you get it all. That's wonderful. Well, you'll probably start to see, this is the last one, but there is kind of a pattern to how I choose my movies, and it's because this was unavailable for a very long time, was Girl Fight, directed by Karen Kusama. It was on the missing movies list because, maybe someone would stream it occasionally, but it wasn't readily available. So once it got the Criterion treatment, I said, I want to support that. So I'm always trying to put my money where my mouth is, and I wanted to support women filmmakers and having their legacy kind of cemented. This one stars Michelle Rodriguez, who is such a talented actor. She's Fast and Furious, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's her. I've seen her in other things, and I just want the world for her. So I'm excited to check this one out. Michelle Rodriguez and Girl Fight.
And I think that does it for this episode. Go buy some movies. Go watch some movies. Stop watching us.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye. I like that. That's good.